22 million black victims of Americanism are waking up, and they're gaining a new political consciousness, becoming politically mature. And as they develop this political maturity, they're able to see the recent trends in these political elections. Any minority that has a block of votes that stick together is in a strategic position. Either way you go, that's who gets it. You're in a position to determine who go to the White House and who stay in the doghouse. You're the one who has that power. You and I have never seen democracy. All we've seen is hypocrisy. When we open our eyes today and look around America, we see America not through the eyes of someone who has enjoyed the fruits of Americanism. We see America through the eyes of someone who has been the victim of Americanism. We don't see any American dream. We've experienced only the American nightmare. We haven't benefited from America's democracy. We've only suffered from America's hypocrisy. And the generation that's coming up now can see it and are not afraid to say it. 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 22 million.
Yes. Welcome to the People Before Politics radio show, blackwestchester.com. I am AJ Woodson. We got Damon K. Jones in the house.
Yes.
We got Cynthia Turnquest-Jones in the house.
All right.
And we got my man.
Yusef.
We have Yusef. What's
up,
up, Yusef?
Salaam's in the house.
Some love for Yusef.
Word up. So this has been a busy week, news-wise. Had a couple things going. The senator threw her hat into the mayoral race in Mount Vernon.
Yeah.
Along with a city council person.
And, Deborah
Reynolds.
Yes.
And it's kind of a testament to your candidacy as a mayor when two current city council people, a current senator, the current city controller, and the former mayor all are running for your job to replace you. That kind of shows, that's kind of saying something about your effectiveness.
Also, you might have Richard Thomas.
Oh, that's what I said. Two current city councilmen.
Yes.
Yeah, two current city councilmen, a current senator, the current city controller, and the former mayor.
Right.
Yeah, all trying to replace you because they think they can do a better job.
Wow.
And these are all the people you work with. Yeah, so that says a lot. Cynthia Turnquest-Jones, what have you done this week? I know you always got something going on.
Well, even though
ain't been you wasn't at 4th Avenue no more, right? You wasn't at the spot now. Yeah, it was on 4th Avenue for you. Okay.
No. I need a new spot to get the fish sandwiches, but so even though school is out, and I always like to just keep tying this in over and over again. School is out.
Yes.
We still have students that came to the school. We still open up the school for the students to come and build on what they already have in order to take this crucial New York State ELA and math exam.
Now, what is ELA for the layman?
Okay, so ELA
please.
for language
for those
arts.
That's not in the
English language arts.
Okay.
And it's on the grades from 3 to 8. Each grade exam takes it takes 3 days for each exam. AJ, I'm gonna give you the text right now. Sorry. Here.
Here.
I'm gonna so each grade is three days. It's for English is 3 days and math is also 3 days.
Okay.
And the difference with taking the exam from the way that we took an exam, it's not just a multiple choice. It also includes essay, writing, and you proving a point and things of that nature.
Okay.
And as far as the mathematics is concerned, yes, you do answer the question, but you also have to write about how you went about getting the answer for that question. So even if you got the answer incorrect, I think this is on day 3, but even if you got the answer incorrect, you can also prove how you got the answer and where you went wrong. You can get some points for that. So that's different from how when we used to just go and it was just either right or wrong. So we had the school open for the students, and it was pretty cool having them in there and excited, I guess, or not, being in there and preparing for an exam that is very critical to New York State in particular. And so one of the things that I keep trying to make sure that all parents do with their children and with their grandchildren and nieces and nephews is to make sure that they increase the hours of reading. And when you increase your hours of reading, then the stamina for you to sit down and take an exam is far more easier. And I remember Damon and I having a conversation. There's many different careers where you have to take exams. And so you have to sit there for a long period of time. It's not that our black and brown children are unable to pass the exam, is that the ability to sit down and not be antsy while they're taking the exam is the thing that we're trying to build inside of them. So that was about it. Did I do anything else, Damon? No, I don't know.
I don't know, because you just stay busy. You like, yo.
I know, I try to sit down a little bit sometimes.
So what do you sleep like on like every other Thursday at 5?
Nah, I do get to sleep.
Okay.
When I sleep, that's it. That's
Yo, real talk. I ran
it
so
out.
much. We went out. It was Philip that runs with Andre. It was his birthday, his 25th birthday.
Wait, hold on.
So on Friday.
Oh, okay, all right.
Right.
Not
So
Andre's birthday.
No, Philip, the young guy that
Okay.
runs with him.
All right,
So
yeah.
we had to keep him out so his girl could have a surprise party for him. So we went to the Lobster House and in City Island. And after I've been running all week with Andre and them, Saturday.
Can the people see us?
I think so. I don't know.
I see a flyer.
Text.
There you go.
Sat-
That's what I'm talking about.
Saturday.
there you
So Cynthia. So when I got home Friday night, basically I slept till 2:32 Saturday afternoon.
Oh,
That's the first
good
time I've
sleep.
slept and
That's good
real
sleep.
sleep in so
Yeah,
long.
that's
Like
good
I just
sleep.
was like, I
I
woke
think
up. It
that's
was like
I think that's good
2:32.
sleep,
I was
and
like,
I think that the best kind of sleep is rain when it's raining, thundering and lightning and all that kind of stuff outside. Oh yeah, that's perfect.
I slept till
Perfect,
2:32.
perfect.
It was like,
Yeah, shout out real quick to my mom. My mom's birthday is today.
Happy birthday, Mom.
Yeah,
Happy birthday.
yeah.
Hey.
77 years old today.
All right, that's what's up. That's what's up.
And it's also this is crazy. So it's my mom's birthday, right? And it's also Ramali Graham's birthday, and it's also Kenneth Chamberlain Sr.'s birthday.
It is. He came in senior.
We gotta
Happy
keep those
birthday.
names. We gotta keep those names alive. Definitely gotta keep those names
Yeah,
alive.
when Ramali Graham passed away, and I kept looking at the birthday, and I kept looking at it over and over
Like,
and
that
over
looked
again. I was
familiar.
like, there's something about the birthday that I was like, oh, it's the same day as my mom's birthday. So yeah, big shout out to Little Miss and Frank Graham and Kenneth Chamberlain Jr.
Absolutely.
And
Yeah, I
enough
seen him the other
respect to
day.
the angels upstairs that's taking care of us.
No doubt. So Damon K. Jones, you always up to something. What you do this week, my brother?
Absolutely nothing.
That's what's up. Yo, that's what changed, because usually like
Always in
running Sunday to Sunday.
Oh no, I'm sorry.
I know you had to do
I'm
something.
sorry.
You
Yeah,
had to
Thursday.
Reverend Nan.
do- right.
Thursday, I
You was with
met
Reverend Al.
with. Well, that was Thursday night. Well, Thursday in the morning, I met with Bob Law and some pastors, some pastors out in Brooklyn, to really work on an agenda and a program to bring the community back together, bring these pastors back to the community, really focus back on what Martin Luther King Jr. Was pushing, and his ideals of one community,
Absolutely.
economic development, and hopefully we can have the same meeting with some pastors here in Westchester County, because for the black communities to be in the conditions that they are, and Westchester being one of the third richest counties in the nation, we need to roll up on Heineken and Coca-Cola and IBM, and they got to start giving some money. They got to start giving some money to the county press, to Black Westchester.
Absolutely.
We got to roll up on the Westchester Business Association. What are y'all doing in our communities? Start giving money to these programs that these young brothers and sisters got going on, that they're paying, that they're really running the programs out of their own budgets. So, we got to get back to what Martin Luther King was doing in Operation Breadbasket, because a lot of these pastors and these leaders are doing Operation Back Pocket. You know, they're not breadbasket. They're not feeding the community. They're doing back pocket. They're feeding themselves. So we did that in the morning.
Robin Hood theory.
Right, that's right.
Rob from the poor,
So-
give to the rich.
So in the evening, I was blessed. I got a ticket to go to the National Network's awards dinner. I was invited there by Dr. Lola Fulani. So I was a guest of hers there, and we had a nice time. You know, we had a nice time, and I bumped into a guy, one of the executives from Ebony magazine, very interesting. And he was telling me, he was only working there. I don't know if I should say it, but I'm gonna say it. Maybe nobody's from Ebony listen. He was working there for 18 months, and he said the hardest problem was the Negroes that worked for the company. And this is Ebony, brother. I don't know if
70
he had,
years deep.
right. I don't know if he had a couple of free drinks and he was just talking. I don't know, but the brother was saying how hard it was, even with black companies or with black people, that we have issues with ourselves.
We are our own worst
know?
enemy.
Right, and we are. We're the ones that's in our own way. And it was very interesting to have that conversation with the brother. Gave him a business card, and I kept it moving. They had they did the awards. I didn't stay for the whole thing, and it was it. It wasn't. I mean, what can you say? And one thing I question, because if you have the mayor, you have the governor, you have the attorney general, you have the controller, but we can't pass no legislation on police oversight. Everybody's at your function, but we can't pass no legislation on police oversight. One person said, well, if he was pressuring them, they wouldn't be here. You know what I'm saying? But we got to question that, man. We have to question, if I'm able to draw all those important people to my birthday party, and I'm not knocking Al. Al has done a service to the community.
Absolutely.
He has done a service. But now the time, you got to put your money where your mouth is, because black men are being shot at an alarming rate, not only by police but by our own black people.
Yes, indeed.
And we have to be more active in the streets, and we have to be more active in putting real progressive programs together to combat all the inequality that's going on. People that just don't believe that this is not happening in a vacuum. It's just it's just not. We're not being killed like this by police. Almost every day you turn around, and we're not killing each other. Look at Chicago. Look at all the homicides in one weekend in Chicago.
Absolutely.
I mean, there's something that's systematically
like
happening.
50 deaths in 80 hours or something.
Right, but it's
outrageous
something
like
that's
that.
systematically happening. How do we have all those shootouts, man? And
A lot of backs are turned.
right, and Emmanuel gets reelected after all those murders. Are you?
A lot of backs are
What?
turned, and they've been turned for a while.
Right. What are they? Are they shooting off the voters? You know what I'm saying? Because how did Emmanuel get back in? How did he get back in? And the Spanish brother, they said he had a great chance, but Emmanuel still pulled it off.
That's funny. Are they shooting off the voters?
Yeah, they might have.
Everybody who's opposed him they got the hit list. Like, you got free reign this weekend.
Yeah,
like,
but we gotta.
And I don't mean to make light, that the deaths of all them kids, those them people that.
Yeah, but we got to
How
talk
many?
about it.
It was something like 40 or 50 in 80 hours or something
Yeah.
outrageous like that.
They had more deaths in 1 year. They had more deaths in 1 year than America had deaths in Afghanistan. And they had more deaths in the city of Chicago than our soldiers had in a war zone. That's
So
crazy.
what are the people of Chicago? What?
They're looking for help. See, there's a void in leadership. There's a void in leadership. There People are looking for help. They're looking. See, instead of
they're
community.
looking for help. They're looking for a leader.
Well, that too. But see, the problem is instead of saying, you know what, I'm going to be my own leader in my 360 degree circumference. You know, they're looking for somebody to be their leader. And the days of those type of leadership with Malcolm and Martin, you know, and they dismissed Minister Farrakhan because he's old and he's been fighting cancer, you know, but we have to become our own leaders now. Mm-hmm. You know, we have to really step up to the plate and, you know, and stop looking for the elders, in which what they are, you know, to lead us. You know, we have to. That's what's great about this Black Lives Movement. Young people are stepping up.
I think another issue in regards to being that we're talking about leaders, right? So we're sitting in a room right now, and all of us in this room are leaders, right? And we're leaders in small ways, which in the long run together means a lot. It's not grandiose in media what we do. What's grandiose is the amount of murders that's going on and the individuals who are murdering. They're not portraying us and showing us in the community in small pockets doing small things.
No, they're not.
To come together.
Absolutely.
Right? Because after a while it works. I have a small organization. All of us in here have a small organization, right? And you know, a lot of individuals say to me, you should go worldwide. I can't go worldwide, right? Yes, I could go worldwide, but right now I can't because I have other things that I have to take care of, right? But together we make a hell of a difference, and this is not portrayed.
Absolutely.
So those individuals who you say who are looking for help, we're not portrayed as individuals who they can go to for help.
No,
whether
we're not.
It's advice or leadership, guidance, and also that push, because a lot of individuals just need that push. They just need that talk, that wisdom. Just, okay, I did it, you can do it also, and here's how you can do it, and just check up on them and things of that nature. Absolutely. And so that's another thing that is seriously missing.
Well, that was one of the reasons for Black Westchester, People Before Politics.
Absolutely.
Because, you know,
to help change the narrative.
Right, and our story wasn't being told.
Our story wasn't being told by us.
Well,
they were telling the story about us, but
you
it wasn't
like with police brutality, right? If I didn't decide to take it upon myself and actually videotape all the press conferences that Black law enforcement have done over the years, you would have never known Black law enforcement was speaking out. Wow. You understand what I'm saying? They barely put us on mainstream media. You might get us on New York 1 here and there, and News 12 might do something here and there locally, but we will never be on an MSNBC or CNN. You know, look at what they had with the brother that was killed in South Carolina.
Walter Scott.
All the police experts were white. You know, they didn't have one person from a progressive Black law enforcement organization to really to discuss that. You know, they'll have Eric Adams, they'll sprinkle him in here and there, but you know, on a constant basis is never Black law enforcement.
That's because you're not safe. Like, those people are safe.
Yeah, but
you're going to give it to them real. They never know what's going to come out your mouth.
Yeah,
they can't control you. That's what it is.
True, but what is the impression that they're giving to Black people? Not just Black. They don't see us.
Not just Black people, but we had that conversation. Me and my sister were talking about that. We talk about this. White people, like, white people have the perception of us because a lot of them don't come in contact with us on a day-to-day. You understand what I'm saying? So their interaction with us is on TV, on news, seeing us arrested, and even on TV shows like CSI or something. You know, the occasional rap video. You never see what she just said. You never see her or him, you know, doing the positive things. The media doesn't portray that. Everything that has to do with the book. So it's easy to have that perception that a young teenager could be a threat to a big, overweight white dude who was chasing him down with a gun in Florida, Trayvon Martin. It's easy to believe the perception of that because of how we're portrayed. You know what I'm saying? And we don't have any media. They stopped our media from being able to tell our side of the story. So we don't have nothing to combat that. So that's all they see.
Do you think that they stopped our media, or it was never there?
Well, no.
No, we did have media.
Bob
Law
Law talk about the whole stopping black radio. We had black radio when I was growing up. We had, where they had the things we do right here, like this. This was on radio. This was on
constantly
LIB and WWR.
Right. Yeah, they had radio stations.
And even BLS had on Sunday mornings they had this stuff and everything like that. So you had a lot of those.
You had a lot of black talk radio, and even the minister was saying in one of the videos, and I posted it in that op-ed I wrote, is Black Westchester racist or revolutionary? When the minister started saying that they changed the language, because at one point everything was black. You had Tony Brown's Black Journal. You had they had black in the words. Then they changed it to just Tony Brown's Journal, and then they changed it to this, and they changed it to that. When they take the word black, what that does is that disconnects you from the rest of the world. When you go over into England, right? Anything else other than Caucasian is black. You could be Iranian, you could be Jamaican, you could be anything else of color, and you are looked at as black. Now, why can't we connect like that? When I met the National Black Police Association president from England, and he was Iranian, I was like, what, wait a minute, what's going on? It took me for a shot. But when I heard the brother speak, he talked harder than some brothers that have the dashikis with the power fist sign. So we have to reconnect. Our blackness connects us with the rest of the world. Regardless of what people think, we're not African. We want to say African American, but we're neither African or American. The way we be treated. And if you go back to Africa, they might not want us.
The reason I don't like that term anymore, there was a white dude who was African, who lives in America, a boxer. He wasn't really a good boxer, but his selling point was the real African American. And he's telling the truth. He was born in Africa and he lives in America. I don't identify with him, so that term didn't work for me no more.
Like real African American,
because he was telling the truth, and that was his selling thing,
for people to come see him get his behind whipped.
And he probably did, because I never heard no more after that day from him. But I can't even tell you his name now,
But we lost. We have to get back, man. We really have to get back to the sense of community and the sense of doing for ourselves.
Absolutely.
It doesn't make any sense. We understand racism exists, but when I walk out my apartment, and I go down the steps, it's not the white man pissing in my hallway. You know what I'm saying? Or writing on the walls, or leaving condoms in the hallway. You understand? It's not the white man doing that, man. It's my own people acting savage. And we'll come out and grown ass men will be playing dice, out in the public. What are you doing, bro? Really?
And no matter where they got it from, it's not the white man on the corner selling that poison.
Well, we can't.
It's not.
We can't even say, you know what? Let's not disrespect our elders like that, sitting on the bench over here, while we playing dice with our pants damn near hanging to our knees. Let's go up. In the staircase of the parking lot or something, where people are not seeing us.
That's what we had to do. There was a certain level of respect. We still.
There's no respect.
I was out of control, but there was certain things I didn't do in certain places. You know what I'm saying? Like, we did them, but we didn't do them where, you know what I'm saying? The old lady who, we didn't do it in front of her house. We went around the corner.
Well, there were certain things I didn't do, because there was this lady that lived across the street. Oh man, you come in 3 o'clock at night, she's still sitting on the steps. Like, wait, when is she gonna go back inside? So you had to come in a certain way, because I'm telling that period. Her face said, I'm telling.
You know what else we missing? When I moved to Long Island, where I lived in was a black middle class community, and my mother was head of the homeowners association, everything. But the bad thing was I couldn't do nothing in what they called the New D. That's what they called it, the new development, the New D, that community. I don't care where I was. My mother knew what I did, like, before I got home. Yo, that's Pat's son. It was a phone call. You understand what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah, I expect that too,
you know
brother.
what I'm saying?
That
Like,
was the neighbor in neighborhood.
Yeah, that's right.
Right.
That's
Right. Say that again.
You know,
That was the
in
neighbor in neighborhood.
That's the
Right,
whole, that's the whole
right.
thing that
Right.
that y'all talking about in terms of getting back to. I mean, you know, it's crazy. I was just reflecting in terms of the conversation that you guys are having on some of my elders, and one of my greatest teachers was a professor named Marimba Ani. You know, she is one of the proteges of Dr. John Henry Clark.
talk directly into
You
the
know,
mic.
Yeah, just lift the mic up.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
So, you know, my protege, I mean, one of my professors was Dr. Marimba Ani, who was the protege of Dr. John Henry Clark. And I remember her saying something that confused me at first, but she said, if you want to change the situation tomorrow, right, we could do something to change the situation tomorrow, and this whole reality would cease to exist.
Absolutely.
But see, the problem is, in part, us not knowing who we are on a grand scale.
Absolutely.
Once we know who we are, then we can begin to really address the problems.
Absolutely.
You know, because if we look at it from the perspective of what the young people are growing up in, you know, I never forget, I was listening to Sharpton some years back. He said, you know, he saw a young man with his pants hanging down, is looking disheveled and everything. And he said to the young man, you know, why are you dressing like that?
Right.
You know, you should, you know, look better, you know, like do better, you know? And the young man said, man, well, I'm just reflecting my reality, you know? And it's unfortunate, like, I never understood the whole pants below your, falling off your waist kind of thing. I tried to do it when I was 12. I'm not gonna lie, you know what I'm saying? I tried to do it, you know, but an elder said to me while I was on 125th Street, you know, I'm walking down the block thinking I'm cool and all, 12 years old with my pants sagging, and the elder said, did you see yourself when you walked out the door? Like, did you check yourself out in the mirror? But see, what was cool was, you know, even though I might have said something, you know, under my breath to this elder, the fact that he said something to me caused me to look in those pane glass mirrors on 125th Street at myself, like do a complete 360 on myself.
Right.
And I had to admit, I looked crazy.
Right.
I was about as tall as I am right now. I was about this skinny, had the flat top and all of that.
Right.
But I looked crazy. And see, a lot of the brothers don't even, we make jokes about some of this stuff on Facebook, and I know a lot of other social networks out there depict what they see in like graphic designs and stuff like that. But the reality is that I don't think the average black man who's doing this, and sometimes even the average black woman who's doing this, really knows what they look like.
Right.
I don't know if anybody's ever even said anything to them.
No, they haven't.
You see what
No.
I'm saying? And just that little spark,
That's
like I
right.
said,
Right.
even
That's
though
right.
I may have, like I said, even though I may have said something under my breath, the seed was planted.
That's right.
And you
You
knew
know.
that you
So,
could
like,
do better.
You know what?
See, nobody's letting them know they can do better.
Right.
But sometimes they think that's it. They can't.
That's
there
right.
is no better.
That's right.
Like-
So, you know, Yusef, what I remember, this is a long time ago, and I went to private school all my life. So my brother was coming home from school. He had the tie off in his back pocket, pants. He had the shirt out, and he walked from the bus stop to the house. And when he got to the house, my father said, "Now you go back. You're gonna start from the bus stop. You're gonna tuck your shirt in. You're gonna put your tie back on, and you're gonna walk up this block the right way. You're gonna walk up the block
I like that.
for the amount of money that I'm investing in you. I want to see that investment while you walking up this block." And rightfully so, he turned back around. There was a lot of cuss words in there too with that. So he took it all the way back, and he started from scratch. And at that time, my brother was way taller than my father.
Wow.
Right? And he took it back, and he started again. Somebody, you know, just stepping in. You know, a lot of times Damon and AJ, they go and they sit down with little brothers in the school.
And now they see me in the street.
And now they see you in the street.
Right.
They see me at IHOP. They see me at the corner store.
And, you
They see
know,
me.
and they too want to be a part of the wearing a tie and wearing the bow tie. There's a organization, I forgot this brother named Alexander, I cannot remember his last name, but he had this program called Tied to Greatness.
Wow.
And where
That's great.
he used to have all the brothers go to the church, Abyssinia Baptist Church, and all the men would be in one pew and the boys would be in the pew behind them. And then they would turn around and show them how to tie a tie. And when those boys left, one boy said, I will never go to school again without a tie on. You know, you just have to take your time out and show them. This is not what you wear, you know. And I do it all the time in school. I'm very rough on them, right? If you're writing a statement and you're putting all this slang in there, I said, you see the way that you write this statement? If you had to write a statement and you in the police station, they're going to treat you exactly how this is written. Change how this is written. And then they will change it. And I said, now read both of them. Which one you want? Huh?
Right.
Which one you want to get treated like?
Right.
Like somebody that knows something or somebody that doesn't know anything at all?
Wow.
And it takes only 5 minutes just to say, hey, listen, pull your pants up. You know, you could do a little better than that.
On the opposite side, when I lived on 115th and Lenox, I'd be outside smoking a cigarette, and this young lady, she had a son. He couldn't have been 5, and every day, she walked past. You ain't, your father ain't. You ain't never gonna be, you know, and probably by the age of 7 or 8, he really figured like, yo, I ain't never gonna be. So why try? You understand what I'm saying? And there's a lot of that though.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? So on the opposite end, like, we have to understand the power of our words on both sides. That's why I wanted to show, like, the power of the words, what you just said, that man speaking to you. And I had those, and trust me, I was like, I ain't trying to hear you, old man. But them words resonated in me. I heard them. I ain't let him know I heard them. You know what I'm saying? But I heard them. You know what I'm saying? So, but the power of our words, you know what I'm saying? And when we talk about the betrayal, something we're going to talk about the betrayal of black men in the media, that it's the power of words, right. How you portray. Well, you understand what I'm saying?
And it's also what you are exposed to. You know,
that's true too.
I thank my mother all the time. She, my father passed when I was real young, but my mother always had role models in my life. A bunch of brothers that worked with her when she used to work for IBM in White Plains. They used to come. They used to call her Mother Mary because I didn't know she used to cook for them. They used to all come over to the house, and she used to cook dinner. And as a young guy, I used to sit at the table, listen to men talk. But all these men were in suits. Yeah, understand what I'm saying? They were always in suits. And that's all I saw was men in suits. And maybe that's why I got a suit fetish now, and my closet is like full of suits. But, you know, but that's what I saw. And that stuck with me over the years, that if you want to be in business and look like you serious, you put on a suit. Yeah. You know, it's simple. It's simple as that. You
Absolutely.
know. So, but it's what these parents, whether they're a single parent or whether they're a couple, married couple, is all in what they expose their children to, so their children can grow up having an understanding. Because if your father is rolling dice on the corner, you know, that's what you're gonna think is the norm.
Yeah.
You know,
roll dice, definitely.
You know,
absolutely.
Yeah, that's what you're going to think.
Now, in the situation with P. Diddy, just using him as an example, his pops was that gangster dude, that cool dude on the block, and he got killed. His mother was like, you are not going to be like your father, and put him through private school for the rest of his life. You know what I'm saying? And that's why he ended up getting in business and stuff like that. Oh. You know what I'm saying? So now,
no, Doc, you have my seat. I'll take over there.
While we're here, I want you to introduce yourself and tell a little bit about your story. You know, what you've been through before we want to get to, and we're talking about the betrayal, how the media betrayed you. We can tie all that into you. You know what I'm saying? So say your name and who you are.
So I just want to start off by saying that we have Yusef, Salaam in the house. Yeah. I met Yusef. And Damon and I met Yusef the same time. I have that picture too. I have that. I'm gonna bring that picture out. We were in church, and it was I think it was the first year of Ramali Graham's death.
Wow.
And that's when we first met you. And when they said, I think Damon and I was riding home, and we was trying to get the name together. We was like, well, who was that we took the picture with? He was like, that was Yusef. So then Damon was like, from Central Park 5? That's how if anybody know Damon, he got this little high pitch every now and again. From Central Park 5? I said, yeah. You don't know what you're talking about, Sid. I'm telling you, that's who it was. And so when we got home, we looked, we was like, yo, I can't believe I was standing next to him. It's like, but yeah, so we met Yusef about maybe 2 years ago, right? So we met Yusef about 2 years ago.
Yes,
right,
indeed.
it was at the church. Right, so
I just also want to say, and just walked in the room, we got Doc
Yes.
Cavallo, and we got Paul Fiener in the room, and I want to just give them a round of applause. Okay, and I want you to tell your story.
Yeah, man. So, like the brother said, man, he said it's good to see you. I said, man, it's good to be seen. Because the reality, back in the days was that the media and the way that they portrayed us was in such a negative way. They portrayed us as if we were animals.
Right.
In the first few weeks that the case of the Central Park jogger case happening, they had already read about over 400 articles.
Live
about
radio.
us, and these 400 articles were so they were damning, and I know that doesn't paint the best picture because that's a higher level of language, but for the folks that are listening out there, the way that they portrayed us was in such a way to dehumanize us, so that anything and everything that they were preparing, they could do. So it's in the same way, like if you look at what's going on today and all of these known killings of the young black men that's happening around the country, and even some of the elders that are getting murdered. This young brother that just got shot in the back, 50 years old. They paint this picture as if you're savage anyway, and we're doing you a favor by taking you out. So here I was back in 1989. I just turned 15 years old, and my days were filled like normal young people days. I loved to ride my bike and ride skateboards, and I was a very, very avid graphic designer. Went to LaGuardia High School of Music and Art. But the night of this particular event, everybody who was in my neighborhood didn't have school the next day. I had school the next day. I was going to a private school as well, So everybody said, man, let's just hang out in Central Park. So for us, it was normal. It was like, Central Park was our backyard. That's what we did all the time. We hung around Central Park. We went around the mirror. Some of us tried to be romantic with the young ladies in the neighborhood, and we would try to hold hands. Back then, the mirror didn't smell the way it smelled now. It smelled terrible, but it was still a lake, So for us, we thought it was like nice, It was cool, It was a cesspool, but, it was something to do. And a lot of crazy things happened that night. And I say that because we've never shied away from the fact that we were in Central Park. We were all in Central Park that night. But in terms of what happened in Central Park and who participated, none of the guys who became known as the Central Park Five were involved in any of the crimes that happened. They were people that went to prison for assaults on people in Central Park. They never became known as the Central Park Five. They were never associated with us. You know what I'm saying? And it's messed up because the narrative today is a narrative that reflects the lingering residue of those negative articles that were written back then. Those articles that gave way for Donald Trump to take out his money to pay for ad space, calling for the reinstatement of the death penalty specifically for our case. Wow. Those articles that I forget exactly who wrote this particular one, but it's in the film. The Central Park Five, the documentary that the great Ken Burns made. In the film, there's a piece where, in response to the article, there's media personalities beginning to write about this stuff, and one of the guys says something to the effect, if we took the eldest one, who was Corey Wise, if we took the eldest one and we drug him from his home and hung him from a tree in Central Park, and if we took the other ones and we horsewhipped them, maybe the city's park will be safe again. What were they preparing for us? They were preparing that had this been the 1950s, had this been the 1940s, that same disgusting vigilante justice that happened to Emmett Till would have came to our doors. We'd have been hanging from trees in Central Park, and we'd have been those so-called strange fruit, And I mean, that was the reality that we went into. So when the people came who were assaulted in the park, when they came to the trial and they were asked to identify the person or persons who assaulted them, every one of them from the witness stand looked around the courtroom and essentially said, it wasn't any of these guys.
What?
So it's like, how did they convince the public that we were still guilty? The DA in the case said there will be no DNA evidence in this case. The fact that they made confessions, which were found to be false. He didn't put that in, but we found it out later. These confessions that were made to be false, they told us what happened. Now, mind you, this is a victim that they found who lost 3/4 of her blood. This was in a place that was in a park.
Right.
So you would think that if you're a young person playing in the park, you got to have some grass stains on your knees, especially if you was having some rowdy sex,
Right.
According to what they were saying. You got to at least have blood on your clothes, underneath your pants, somewhere.
Right.
Nobody had any evidence of anything on them. And we're talking about 14, 15, and 16-year-old boys. That's crazy. That's crazy. But when we fast forwarded to the next day, I came home from school and I heard that they were looking for me. So what did I do? And this is a word to the wise.
You just went to
I said, let me go to the police and tell them what I saw, and I'm going to be home before my mother gets back.
You
I
went by
came-
yourself.
I went by myself, and I went with Corey. But I said to Corey, because I knew Corey didn't do anything. I knew I didn't do anything. I said, well, we both didn't do anything. They looking for us. Let's just go to the cops and tell them we didn't do nothing and tell them what we saw. We'll be back before we get home, before our parents get home. I came home 7 years later. Corey came home 13 years later.
Damn, man.
Now, we didn't know, and this is the part that we have to understand. Because somebody asked me earlier, they said, how do you save the lives of young people? And I'm talking about that from the perspective of us knowing something about the law. So we know something about the law because when we heard Jay-Z said that you don't have the right to search my car unless you got a warrant, we said, oh shucks, I didn't know that. Word, that's right, All right, cool. They're not gonna be able to search my car now. But what happens? Sometimes when you become so you pull your power card on the people who are supposed to have all the power. But we know all power, absolute power corrupts absolutely, But these people who have all this power, you pull the power card, they just gonna beat you up. They'll turn the cameras off on you.
That's right.
But see, in my case here I was, like I said, deciding to go to the cops. On the Miranda card, it says you have the right to remain silent. So I was choosing not to remain silent without even realizing that that was my right, right? And then it tells you exactly what's going to go down. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. So now dig it, right? I was the only one that didn't make a written or videotape confession. Every single one of my co-defendants made written false confessions and false video confessions. Corey Wise made about 4. Wow. Each one of them were completely different. I can only tell the story of me and Corey because he and I were in the precinct together. They were beating Corey up in the next room because he was 16 years old. And what they would do as a tactic was they would come into the room I was in. I'm hearing everything that's going on. And they would look at me and say, you're next. They didn't give us anything to eat. They didn't give us anything to drink. Wow. They made sure that if we dozed off, they woke us up. Now, mind you, Raymond Santana, Kevin Richardson, Stephen Lopez, they all were picked up the night before. And all of them hadn't had anything to eat or drink
From the night
for
before.
24 hours.
Wow.
And, it puts things into context now when you look at the film.
Right.
They look distraught.
Right.
And the greatest thing about the film is that you see the same videos that you saw back then. The only difference is that you hear a Corey Wise, a Raymond Santana, Yusef Salaam, Amtron McCrae, or Kevin Richardson talking about it today. And what are they saying? You see Raymond picking up his false confession on or about 9 p.m. on April 19th. Me and a group of my colleagues begin to walk south. Now, I'm adding a few words here and there, but one of the best things about what Raymond says is this. What 14 or 15-year-old speaks like that?
Right.
If somebody is arrested improperly and they're incarcerated, what happens to that? What does the government do for them?
Absolutely nothing.
So
It's up to you
Right.
to try to do for
no,
yourself.
but I'm talking what type. If somebody has been arrested or they go to jail, what type of is there any compensation?
See,
or
well,
recourse people have?
He's going to get into
yeah, one of the biggest
what he
problems
did.
is that, you know, we tried to get out of prison. We tried to make sure that we had, because many of us had ineffective counsel.
Right.
So what we did was we said, you know what, let's switch up the game. I went and I got the great late Bill Kunstler.
Mm-hmm.
Bill Kunstler tried to fight tooth and nail for me. I mean, he was just that kind of guy. Y'all know about it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I never forget Bill Kunstler saying to me, he said, man, this case is such a case that Jesus Christ himself couldn't have won it. They wanted you
Wow.
guys. They wanted to swiftly solve this crime. And so they went after anyone and everybody that they could find. And the worst part about it is that those of us who knew nothing about the law were the ones who were most affected by the law.
Mm-hmm.
We were the
Say
ones
that
that
again.
went
Say
to
that-
jail.
say that
Those who
again.
knew nothing about the law were the ones that were most affected by the law. I mean, we got to go back even just in terms of a survival tactic. We got to go back and we need to begin to teach the young people what their rights are.
Right.
We need to take it back to square one, you know, because there's a seriousness of things that's going on today. Even in the fact, like there was a young man talking about how he was riding with some young people in a van, and they were trying to get gas, and he had a whole, you know, the young people in the van were basketball players, so they was young, big, ready, you know. They were taking a little bit too much time. At least that's what the person in back of them said. So he starts bumping his horn and starts cursing at the person and everything. So the guy, soon as they started cursing, the guys jumped out the car and was ready to go to war with this man. Now this the person telling the story was like, I had to quickly assess this situation because this was an elderly white man and we were a group of black men. At least this is what is perceived. So either he had a gun or he had a death wish.
Right.
So how do you respond in that situation? And this is the part that I'm saying, like the survival tactics that we need to understand is like we need to be able to live to fight another day.
That's
I needed to be able to tell the story of the Central Park jogger case and the Central Park 5 25 years later. I'm 41. I was 15 when this thing happened. They tried to take our lives.
That's right.
If we didn't die in prison, we were definitely supposed to die a social death. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Right.
But the greatest thing was that they gave us a platform. That platform first was a platform where we were standing there with nooses hanging from the ceiling. And they were about to take our lives. And as time went on, those nooses went away and the platform remained. And we began to take our power back.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like I sometimes do presentations where I show people the hate mail that my parents received when I was in prison. And this wasn't like just like, oh, you know, we hate you, we don't like what you did. This was like obituary notices.
Wow.
Yusef
wow.
Salaam lived, Yusef Salaam died. This was like reminder notices. 30, 40, 50 years from now, some of us will never forget. And one day, one of us might just tap you on the back and let you know we remembered.
Wow.
And so what I'm saying is like that was the atmosphere. That was what, like I said, the negative residue of those articles, what they were trying to do to us. And in many ways they succeeded because we went to prison. But the greatest tool changer is film. They documented what they did to us, and they didn't document the other stuff. And what I mean by that is, in the film, there's a piece where Corey says, you know, they were beating me up, and they told me that I was gonna go into this room and I was gonna make this statement, and that they were gonna be there to make sure that I did it. And so what you see the same film from 1989. Corey's in the room. He's talking to the DA. He starts telling her what she wants to hear because he wants to get out of this.
Right.
He starts telling her all of this fake stories. And then sure enough, she says, well, thank you. We've wrapped up our interview. He stands up and thanks her. And you hear a voice off camera saying, sit back down. And he sits back down. Man, listen, if they didn't, if I told people about the Central Park jogger case today and nobody knew about it, they would swear I was making this story up.
Wow, bro.
It's one of those unbelievable stories. Man.
Your mother was a
My
was
mother
a professor.
My mother
right?
was a fashion designer
At
and
Parsons?
a professor at Parsons.
And they let her go.
You know, I don't know if they let her go, but I do know this. The pressure to remain in an environment like that. My mother never talked, like my mother internalized a lot.
Right.
She never told us about the personal struggles that she went through as a black mother trying to make it happen. It was a single parent household, and it was me, my brother, and my sister, and I was the middle child, you know. My mother one day was coming home from work, so she left work and started going towards the train station. She's walking down 42nd Street, and the officers were on the bullhorn, and they were following her. They were saying, that's her right there. That's the BITCH, the mother of the dog, Yusef Salaam. Now, I'm just, take it back to 1989.
Right.
Take it back to 1990, right?
Right.
We all know what was going on back then. We all know what 42nd Street looked like back then.
Right.
My mother had to walk through a cesspool to get to work and to come from work. And she had to go through this kind of thing. When they finally bailed me out, I was out on bail for about maybe a few months before they finally convicted us. But when they bailed us out, I couldn't stay in my neighborhood. My mother had to dress me in a disguise so that people couldn't see who I was. I never forget, I had a hat that had some fake dreads in the hat. I looked a little like you, brother, you know what I'm saying? I know those are real, you know what I'm saying? But I had that, I had some fake glasses on and makeup, all kind of stuff.
Wow.
And this is how I had to move around.
As a 15-year-old.
As a 15-year-old.
No, that's crazy.
Just so that nobody then would have tried to take us out.
Did they put you in juvenile detention?
They put most of us in the juvenile detention
Right.
center. We were in the maximum security facilities for youth up until the age of 21. And then they took us and sent us to the adult house.
Mm-hmm.
And they sent me about 5 miles from Canada. I was in a place called Clinton, Dannemora. And Clinton, oh man, Clinton, just the presence, just like driving up to Clinton, it looked like a haunted house. It looked like the old school horror movies. Like when people first saw Freddy Krueger, that movie,
Right.
they see stuff today, they come on, that's not scary. When people first saw Freddy Krueger,
Right.
you didn't want to walk near no parks. You don't want to hear
No
no
woods.
leaves
Yeah,
rustling.
yeah,
Nothing.
yeah.
No woods, no nothing. That's how scary that movie was.
The question I have is, you were convicted in 1990. You were exonerated in 2002. It's clear you didn't do the crime, but you know your life was basically you lost a good part of your life for so many years. What could the government do going forward to help people who are convicted and are innocent of a crime? You know, what type of punishment should the government receive
They don't
removing
receive any
somebody's life.
punishment.
But the question is, what should they? Right.
Right. What should
I appreciate
they?
that. I do appreciate it because the reality is that they don't receive any of
Put
that.
your mic up a little bit
You know,
so you're
So what
talking
kind of
right into
punishment
it.
should they
They
receive?
first of all, we have to.
So like the DA,
like-
the police officers, all these individuals that
Right.
conjure up this whole big.
Now listen. I may be. People may say I'm biased, but I'm not. I happen to have a perspective of having been on the inside looking out.
Right.
And so I call it the criminal system of injustice. Because for many of us, that's exactly what it is. How do you have a system which allows for prosecutors, DAs, some officers to have immunity?
Right.
People just get
Right.
off.
That's a good point.
That's right.
Yeah.
I mean, in the Central Park jogger case, there was a book called "And the Blood Cried Out," and in this book it talks about when the DNA came back. Because I don't know if you guys remember,
And
back
the blood
then
cried out.
there were these articles and these headlines. All of the headlines were very, very attention-grabbing headlines.
Right.
Right.
And this particular headline said DNA evidence regarding the Central Park jogger case. And the DNA evidence came back as not being a match to any one of us.
I remember that.
Right?
I
And so what
remember
did they do? They quickly swept it under the rug.
Mhm.
But see, in this book, "And the Blood Cried Out" by Harlan Levy, it talks about how Elizabeth Lederer met with Harlan Levy, and she says, "I feel like I've been kicked in the stomach. The DNA doesn't match any of these guys." So it just dawns on you that there was a meeting called
Right.
on how are we going to still convict. So when you have a situation where prosecutors willfully step over the bounds of the law, there should be repercussions behind that. There can't be a situation where, as a prosecutor or as a police officer or as a judge or as a whatever, you just say, well, listen, I'm just doing my job. At some point in time, when people go back, and like the New York Times, they sued because they wanted to see all of the depositions in our case. They wanted to see all of the legal documents in our case. They wanted to see everything because the reality was, how could something like this happen?
Yeah, but it happens all the time.
It happens all the time, but it's like when you go back, I forget the legal term for it.
What?
But it's like you
Fruit of the poisonous tree or something like that.
It's escaping me, but it's basically going back and reviewing. How did we mess up?
Right.
But what happened? There were 4 other innocent people who were convicted and then exonerated. Where are they today? Because if somebody Googles them and they were, you look, and even if they were found innocent later on, an employer in the back of their mind may have a doubt about that
Absolutely.
person. So,
Absolutely.
so not only are they being punished and their lives are being destroyed
Their name
when
can
they're in
continue.
jail, but they also have this scar on their reputation after. And have you followed up on other people, or
Yeah, absolutely.
do they have jobs? Are they doing nicely?
Well,
Do you want to-
regarding Central Park 5, regarding us, some of us were never able to get a job. Some of us were never able to go over the hump. See, like when I came home from prison, the job applications used to say, have you been convicted of a crime within the past 7 years? So after 7 years, I could say no.
Right.
If it's 7 years and a day, no. This thing, I could say no now.
Right.
They're not going to ask me that question.
What does it say?
Now it says, have you ever been convicted of a crime?
Right.
This will not hamper your chances of employment with us.
Right.
They should say that wink. They should write in parentheses
Wink, wink.
wink.
Psych.
Right.
But see,
And if you lie and they find
Yeah.
out and you get the job,
And
then
you
you
get
lose your
fired.
job
Then you
because
lose
you
your job.
lied on
Yeah,
the
right.
application.
I mean,
even
but
if you didn't lie, even if you basically if you said no and you're complying with the intent of the application, somebody's going to Google it and they'll say, Yusef, Salaam, and then they'll read about the Central Park, rape case, and they'll say, oh, you were exonerated, but in the back of their mind, they'll say, if they have a choice of you or somebody who's never even been arrested, they may take the person who was never arrested. So you also have this scar and government really should be doing something, I think, to help people.
It's absolutely indelible scar.
But see, Paul, this is the problem. If a civilian lies to a cop and he does a report, he can go to jail. Right? He can go to jail. We are taught as law enforcement to tell the truth in reports. Now, I've been 25 years, but now I've seen cases where law enforcement outright lied in their reports, and nothing has happened. It is a crime. We're taught that in the academy. The report is a legal document, and if you write falsely on the legal document, it is a crime. But nobody's going to jail. Now
Did Lil Kim lie?
Yeah, and went to jail.
Okay,
they couldn't get her for the shooting that she was supposed to have done.
Right, and they got her for
lying.
Right.
That she didn't know the person, whoever it was.
Right.
So she went to jail for a day.
But would you think that the government has an obligation if they destroyed somebody's life?
In a perfect world, yes.
But
right.
I'm saying,
but it's the government who's lying.
No, but I'm talking about if the government, if there's a mistake, if I arrest you, as you know, and I'm part of the law enforcement, and you go through a trial, you get convicted, and you go through jail, your life is obviously being destroyed. Then if it turns out later on that, you know, we made a mistake in government, don't you think we have an obligation, or should be pressuring the state government to do something?
I agree with you, but one of the things in terms of the Central Park Jogger case that we have to realize is that this was such a negative case. This was such a damning case. They were people who were so invested in us being guilty, who knew beyond a shadow of a doubt that we were guilty, right? That they felt like they had the right people from the start, that they stopped looking for the real perpetrator. Matias Reyes was still left out.
Donald Trump?
Yeah, but check this out. Matias Reyes was still out there committing more crimes, right?
Right.
One of the crimes that he ultimately got convicted of and caught for was the rape and the murder of a pregnant Latina woman. So I just want to say that to lay it right there and think about that for a second, in realizing that our supporters were all saying, you got the wrong guys. These guys didn't do that. We know them. We know them from our community. This is not who they are, right? Had the police officers, and they knew that they had the wrong people because they knew that everybody's story didn't match.
Right.
Every single false confession didn't match any of the other false confessions. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
They knew they had the wrong people. And I'm not saying cops that just got on the job. I'm talking about seasoned detectives from the Manhattan North squad. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
These folks knew they had the wrong people, but they were so invested in trying to solve this case for the greater good of the public that it caused this real vicious murderer to still be out there causing more crime, causing more hurt and pain. The worst part about this story is this. When the truth came out 13 years later, Matias Reyes can never be charged with raping the Central Park Jogger.
Right.
It's not only
statute of limitations.
Statute of limitations.
But it's not only you. You know, there's over 300 cases around the country where people have been convicted.
But these folks have to fight.
And so
these are people fighting to get out.
These individuals who were all gung-ho and put their money down, Donald Trump was one of them who put his money down and made sure that there was advertisement, and things of that nature.
Were you trying to get y'all a death penalty or something?
Did they ever
They were trying to
apologize?
Donald Trump was trying to.
Absolutely not. We never gotten any apologies from any of the key players in this game.
But you see, that's
and what I mean by that is like the prosecutors, DAs, the people that took out ads, the people that wrote the stories, the police officers who were involved. None of them ever apologized. The only apology that we ever received was by one of the courtroom artists. She wrote a
courtroom
book.
Artist.
She wrote
the courtroom artist.
Now dig it. She was key. She was key because of the depictions of how she There's a book out called The Art of Justice, and I forget her name. I got the book at home. This book shows like she's all of these depictions of all these famous cases that she was on, and when she gets to the Central Park jogger case, she says the supporters always said that these guys were innocent, and years later when they were found to be innocent, I was filled with remorse because of the way that I drew them.
Wow.
Right? So she had a key role in making the, not just the, see,
But
people
the
in New York
perception
saw
of
us.
you,
People
the
in New York.
perception.
Right, the
Her
perception
Oh,
was,
name
right,
is
because they used to play
Marilyn
back.
Yeah,
well,
Marilyn Church, yes.
well, back then they used to always have the drawings, you know,
yes, indeed.
on the news.
People saw the people.
Right.
People in New York City. They were able to get the papers.
Right.
So they saw us coming in and out of the courthouse.
Right.
But people wanted to
The
see
country, yeah, they
around
saw-
the country and around the world what
they-
was going on in
they
the
was
courtroom.
always
And they saw the
Drawings.
drawings.
And this is what they saw. They saw drawings of people that looked like they was animals. People that looked like gorillas. I got to prison and people were like, "Oh shucks, you don't look nothing like, you know, we thought you was this big monster looking cat." You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
I got to prison, soaking wet. I might have been 160 pounds,
Wow.
6'4", almost.
You know,
Now-
see, this is the whole thing. Now, Paul, when you're talking about accountability of these type of cases, there are none. There are none, because of the fact that you're saying the government. It's the government that is actually putting these people in jail. It is the government that is doing the investigation and taking these documents or whatever evidence and charging innocent people. And then when they're found out innocent, it's usually the government that is defending the civil lawsuit for damages. So I mean, you're saying what role of the government? If the government is going to try to straighten everything out, but the government is fighting. Even here in Westchester County, you have those 2 cops in Yonkers that was found guilty, right? Where they found out they was falsifying
Detective Christian
evidence,
Koch and Neil Vera.
right, in Yonkers, evidence to do search warrants, right? Now, why hasn't Janet DeFiore say, well, all their arrests I'm going to review, right? Not just the ones that the people put pressure on, but all their arrests now should be in question, but she's not doing it.
She
But
said
you know
she's doing it. Or
No, she's not doing it.
But she said she was going to.
No, she
She did say something about
she
looking
did like
into-
4.
She had a press. She did say something in the press thing
Yeah.
that we got that she was going to look into.
She's not going to
those
do none of
cases
that.
or something. Yeah, something like that.
But the thing that really bothers me is, like, I'm looking at the website for the Innocence Project, and here they have more than 300 people in the United States who have been exonerated by DNA testing. So it's not speculative. It's not a possibility that they were innocent. They're guaranteed 100% innocent. So the government throws them in jail. Some of the people have been in jail. There's a guy, Marvin Anderson, was in jail for 15 years, and then after the DNA testing was done, they found that he was, innocent. You have, many people around the country who have had are in the same situation as you. Even if right now the government hasn't done anything for the people who have been wrongfully convicted, that doesn't mean the government shouldn't do things
They should
in
change.
the future.
They need to change.
but-
Absolutely.
they need to change
listen-
policy.
But listen to this.
We
Listen
need
to
to
this
change
though.
policy.
But listen to
Well,
this.
Paul, we
Wait,
need you to use
How
your
old-
bully pulpit
No, that's
Right,
right.
right.
and,
Right, but think of this.
as town supervisor,
Right.
That's right.
and push the county legislators, push Janet DeFiore. Well, you didn't run as a Democrat, right?
I'm a Democrat.
Yeah, but they didn't support you.
They never support me.
All right, then
That's-
push her.
that's why we like it.
But
Then push her, man.
but
We
okay,
gotta-
this is what I
we
want-
need
but-
politicians
but
to
this-
use their bully
Right.
No,
This
but-
is what I want to get to your. How old were you when this happened?
15.
How old were you when you got out?
Wow, I was 23, 24.
Now think about your life, 15 to 23, 24. Think about all the things you've been through, all the learning you did, all the growing up you did, all of that. Now take that away. What can the government do to repay you for that?
Well, check it out. Before you answer that, not only what can the government do to replace that, but also there was a swift method to convict us.
Right.
Right.
And
There should be a swift method
To
to compensate
compensate.
us.
That's right.
And I'm only saying that
That's
because
right.
on the website that you're looking at, there's a friend of mine that I'm personal friends with named Alan Newton. He did, I think, 23 years in prison for a crime he didn't commit.
This is crazy, man.
Alan Newton, years ago, won a lawsuit. He sued the city for, let's say, $6 million. The city said, we're not giving you a dime.
Right.
They took it to trial. The jury awarded Alan Newton more money than he was suing for.
Okay.
The judge canceled that.
What you talking about?
The judge canceled that. Alan Newton just won his lawsuit this year.
Well, how does that work? If you win,
I don't
the
know.
lawsuit,
No,
shouldn't they be
with
paying
you
you?
He
right
had to
away?
go back. He had
The-
to go
the
back.
judge
But-
actually
but
does
I
have
don't-
that
The judge
authority,
does
though.
nothing so far.
The judge
we-
actually does have
we-
that authority, though.
What
we
did-
we were
Does he?
compensated.
How much have you? Were you?
It's been done
We were
before.
I mean,
compensated
if you win,
back in
what is he supposed to say?
The
No?
judge- the judge
September
turned down
of
plea
14
bargains or whatever
2014.
How much
that
did
they
he
gave
get?
in
They
turn.
gave us
That
they
he-
no they gave us
they-
Hold on,
that
everybody
was-
talk.
Yeah.
the question was how many when were we compensated and how much did we get? So our original lawsuit was for $250 million. Our original lawsuit included the parents and the siblings of those involved in the case.
That's right.
Right.
They gave us an award only after the Central Park 5 film came out,
Right.
right? We
Right.
were found to be innocent in 2002.
Wow.
2012 is when the film came out. They were fighting us and wasn't giving us a dime for all of that time. In 2014, we finally won. And we won.
12 years later.
We conceded to $41 million. In that was bittersweet justice.
Right.
Because the bittersweet part of it is there was no money allotted for our parents. There was no money allotted for our siblings. So the 1/3 of the money goes to the legal fees.
Right.
And some other stuff that we had to pay for. Out of the award that we received, we gave money to our families because that's just the right thing to do.
Right.
But the reality of the matter is they maimed us.
Right.
Just like you said,
Right.
what were you doing between this time
Just
frame?
picture them years being taken away from
Picture
you.
all of that time,
Right.
right? And then try to survive.
Right.
We came home from prison, didn't even know how to write a job application, how to
Right.
put a resume together.
Right.
We didn't know anything.
Right.
Right. Right.
You see what I'm saying? We came out in a fog. And because we were adults, we were told that we needed to act like adults.
But I'm wondering if the state legislature should set some sort of policy and say for if somebody's convicted and then they're exonerated for every for every year or every week or month that they're in jail, this is what the state will
Paul.
do.
No,
Paul-
there's other pieces. There's other
Right,
pieces
Paul,
to that because it
and-
can't just be like if you look at my
Right.
life, right now, everything that I've done. A lot of people say, "Man, this guy's been so successful in spite of it all." Right?
Right.
I'm an administrator in a hospital. I'm actually over 5 hospitals right now. I deal with wireless networks. This is before the lawsuit,
Right.
meaning winning the lawsuit. So it's like if you look at all of that, and you say, "What could Yusef have been?"
Right. Right. If you
Not had his life
that's right.
interrupted.
Right.
And it's the same
Right.
thing with the deaths of children.
Absolutely.
And the calculation thing. I had a conversation about that. The calculation.
The calculation is completely
The calculation
wrong.
is crazy. How do you know, or how do you figure out what a person is going to be with the calculations that you come up with?
But you see what I'm sort of trying to get at is I'm really glad that you invited me on this program because sometimes when you read about this, it doesn't really absorb.
Right.
And then when you meet
I see
somebody,
that in your face when
Yeah.
you was
so
telling
like
the story.
so now all of a sudden, like I'm inspired. If I want to, as a government official, work on making some reforms or encouraging reforms, what are say 2 or 3 things? Forget about what's happened, but 2 or 3 things that you think people in government, could do to make life better for other people in the future who are exonerated of a crime. What, like on day one, somebody gets out of jail, they were
Paul,
exonerated.
Paul, are you sure you want to go down this road, man?
Yeah, I am sure. Because
You know what? There has to be
Right.
Accountability.
before the accountability.
Right.
There has to be a mechanism
Right.
that allows for that person to be reintroduced
Introduced
into
Well, that's what I'm
society.
saying.
Right. You're
There
right.
is no mechanism for that.
No.
Right, but
Yeah.
that's
You
if
know,
didn't have the
I
Cavallo-
know a lot of politicians that have been federal felons. They came out of jail, and they were making $70,000 as a state senator.
Wow.
Just to mention a few assemblymen. And they came out after a few years. And
Wrote a book?
I never
Oh.
heard that they applied, an application where it says, "Have you ever been arrested?" Because I
Right.
know
They do
they're doing extremely well, all of them, and they're making like quadruple the amount.
They're making
So-
more out of that.
So I don't really understand this.
And that's a
Right.
good example.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
no,
is
no,
a-
Right there is a
I'm
good
I'm
example.
joking about it, but
Right, right,
reality
absolutely.
is reality. I mean, I could go on and on and on and tell you all these people what they did and after and how they're making
Some of them
money.
got reelected, huh?
And some
Yeah,
are
yeah.
reelected. Like in federal law,
Wow.
if you're found as a criminal, in the Congress, you could run again.
Right.
Wow.
I mean, it's unbelievable, and you could be found guilty, like some assemblymen, and still be an assemblyman until,
And you can plead
the
guilty
2
to tax
years,
evasion
the
and still
Right.
be mayor
the 2 years
malpractice.
Malpractice.
pass so they can get their pension.
What's
There you go.
crazy about it is that
You're right.
the recognition has to be made from the position that this is how the system was
Yeah.
built,
Right.
right?
Well, that's
And so, I mean, there's people, I forget the guy's name, but I work also with an organization called It Could Happen to You. Jeffrey Deskovic did a certain
Yes.
number of
Oh yeah,
years in
yeah,
prison.
yeah, yeah. I
you
know
know.
him very well.
And Jeff and I, we're pretty good friends, right? So,
Well, a
He was
mutual
telling me
friend
about
of ours
another-
really helped him a lot, though, to
Okay.
sue and
Yeah.
everything.
yes,
Yeah.
indeed.
Yeah.
Now, one of the guys that he helped free, he was home for a little while and then passed away.
Wow.
And so I'm saying it's like those are the realities of what happens. Like it's the lingering effects of the prison industrial complex.
Right.
It's the indelible scars of the prison industrial complex. It's a sad day when one of the greatest MCs today, Kendrick Lamar, says on his rap album, the only place a black man is guaranteed a job is in prison.
Mm.
That's a sad
Yeah.
reality.
It is.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like there's a lot of stuff that has to happen, and I know when the brother said, are you sure you want to go down this road? There's a lot of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
We need to build
yeah,
this thing back
yeah.
up brick
well,
by brick.
Well, Paul, I mean, it's a good conversation, and I think we need to have that in Greenburgh because we're not having the conversation from our elected officials, on these issues.
We need it all over, the country, and the thing
Right.
is, we throw people in jail, then we release them, and then people get out and they can't get jobs. In fact, I was at the Theater Young Community Center a few days ago, and we just set up a really interesting program, a barbershop training program.
Yeah, I saw that.
And it's really pretty neat. And the person, I got a haircut, and we're giving the person who gave me a haircut was a convicted, criminal. And I said that, who's out? And I said,
It looks nice, by the way.
Yeah.
I was waiting for it, Doc.
and I said, and I said to him, I said, why did you sign up for this? He said, I can't get a job. At least now he's he's working,
That's
but
nice.
and at the community center we're going to now try setting up other programs to give young people who may not be college bound and not have all these skills an opportunity to become productive members of society. But I think that it's really disgraceful if the government made a mistake and they convicted somebody, and then after they're exonerated, we make somebody wait 10 years, 12 years,
But that's
whatever.
but that's the norm. I mean,
But
that's
that doesn't
not,
mean it's right.
no, it doesn't mean it's right. But how do we now? How do we move forward on that to hold? Because see, now you're looking at other elected officials. You're looking at not only that, you're looking at judges, you're looking at DAs, you're looking at a system that these people, some of 'em might think they're powerful people, actually support. And you're looking at a lot of money that will be paid out, taxpayer money, of course, because we can pass a law that people's pensions can be attached to that if they're wrong.
That's right.
See, that's
right.
that's
That's key.
That's right.
People's pensions.
Yes,
But we
indeed.
can do that. But how do you get them to pass that? See, how do you get Albany to pass that? You know, I mean, it's been over 300 people been shot and killed by NYPD since Amadou Diallo, and we're still waiting on an independent special prosecutor. You know, and we can't even get that. So how you think we're going to get them to hold detectives and DAs and judges and all them accountable? How you think we're going to do that?
You know, have you ever gone to the state legislature and asked them to have you?
Well, next time, Paul, y'all need to exchange numbers.
Right.
Because it's absolutely necessary for this type of dialogue to happen. But even more so, it's necessary for some type of change to be made, right? Just like you were talking about the people that we elect.
Right.
We the people.
Right.
Right? We the people elect the public servants. We elect the people, the politicians. We elect all of these things, and we want the cities and the neighborhoods that we come from to be run very well. But this is painting a completely different picture.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right.
We look at the news,
but
we see a completely different picture.
But see,
Absolutely.
that's why I'm really looking at how we must change our attitude on the political parties.
Mm-hmm.
How we must change our attitude, especially as black people, with the Democratic Party.
Mhm.
You know, because we're not getting any. Look how and I have the lesbian gay community. You know, they do something, they rise up. Legislation has changed.
Yes, indeed.
Not mad at them.
Yes, indeed.
Go ahead, lesbian gay community, right? We just march, and no legislation is changing. Just like I said earlier, all much respect to Al Sharpton, but if you're going to have the governor, the controller, the attorney general, all the former governor there, everybody at your functions, then why can't we just pass pieces? Why can't we get legislation changed?
Yeah.
I mean, you know, we have to, you know, and maybe if we start reevaluating, you know, our relationship with these parties, you know, maybe something will change. What do you say about that, Doc? Since you're the chairman of the Independence Party,
Right. Thank you. No, I mean, that, you know, it's all about, listen, 90%, I'm going to say, 90% of the people that I've met in the last 30 years that are political elected officials, they can't even take care of their own family, let alone the state, the county, or cities. And I could go on and on.
Right.
It's just a joke. I mean, people have to participate in politics.
Right.
People, like you said, especially the Democratic Party, people have to come in, young people, and get real competent people that care about people to do things.
Right.
Now, we have politicians here, they only worried about their pension and, you know, they're being elected, re-elected. I know some assemblymen that people in their own neighborhood don't even know the guy. I don't want to mention it, you know, from Mount Vernon. But, I mean, you know, they don't even know the guy. I mentioned the guy's name, say, who is he?
Right.
I mean, he's been there 20, 30 years. I really don't know.
But we're used to just going and clicking on the Democratic line, you know, with you know, and then we complain, you know, January 1st, then we start complaining again. You know, I mean, you know, why would you continue to vote just because it says, you know, one lady said, well, you know, it doesn't matter as long as he's a Democrat. Yeah, but you don't even know this dude, and you just doesn't matter because he's a Democrat. You don't even know.
Okay, but ask her what has he or she done for the community?
Right.
Absolutely.
And this is that's the part with the part of the education and the lack of education where individuals who are coming up now and are voting and things of that nature, to instill in them and to have the understanding, why are you voting? Why are you picking this individual? Right? Do some research. Go to some of the meetings. Ask them questions. Why are you interested in this position? What have you done in the community? Oh, you haven't done anything? Well, I can't vote for you. Sorry. Right? Oh, what have you done in other communities? How will you benefit this community? So many different, I mean, and it's not that many questions to ask. Maybe just 5. You don't have to ask that many questions. Individuals, the nepotism is crazy.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
The nepotism
Absolutely.
is sick. Right? I just want y'all to know, I really don't people don't ask me for a recommendation or nothing like that because I don't do it. I'm not doing it, right? I recommend myself the most because I cannot do it. You need to have some kind of why are you holding these seats and not doing right by the people who go out and take time out and click that button for you. Why would you do that to them? You're a fraud.
That's why a lot of people have given up on the political process. A lot of young people,
and
it's like,
shame.
my vote don't count, so I'm not even gonna vote
No
more.
respect for the political process. No respect at all.
You know, you had congressional seats, for example. This particular congressman was from Queens. Then they moved to Trout's Neck area, the Bronx.
Right.
Then they went up to Westchester. Now the same person is in Rockland County. She used to represent a Jewish community in Queens. Now she's representing all of Rockland County.
How she? What they?
Well, they
gerrymandering?
Gerrymandering.
Yeah.
That's what they do. So now that person doesn't even represent the people she's supposed to be representing.
Right. And that's crazy.
That's what's crazy.
She don't have no vested interest in that community at all.
No, people don't even know who the person is, and they vote because she's a Democrat.
Right, because she's on the line. See, and that, and you know, and that's the whole thing. You know, with this, how.
I'll give you an example. City of Yonkers, 200,000 people.
Right.
You have Democratic mayor who ran. He had a primary. 2,000 people elected him on a primary in the Democratic Party. He's now the mayor of the city.
2,000.
And, you know,
So that means 2,000 people elected the guy who's in charge of 200,000 people.
and
Right.
I'm just
So-
look,
right.
And in charge of a billion dollar
Right.
corporation and $1 billion corporation in the Board of
but
Elections.
you know what's
Hey, the
really,
I
mayor-
mean the Board of
The
Education.
mayor Mount
sorry.
Vernon won by 101 votes.
but you know what's really
Yeah.
interesting.
And we gave
You
it to
see,
him.
we gave it to him, yeah.
The
Oh yeah, that's my bad. I didn't mean to bring that up.
You didn't have to.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
I was in a good mood.
voter participation last year was the lowest since World War II.
Wow.
Only
Wow.
only 36.4% of eligible voters
There you go.
voted in last year's election. In 2010, it was 40.9%. And the last time voter turnout was that low was in 1942, when only 33.9% of the people voted. I'm just getting that from.
And in Europe, you
That's-
have
That's when
and
black
in
and
Europe,
women couldn't vote, right?
And in Europe, that's right. And in Europe, you have 87% of the people that actually go out and vote of the population.
And in,
That's incredible.
and in presidential elections, when we think, oh wow, there's a great turnout, in 2012, only 58% of the people voted, and in 2008, when Barack Obama got elected for the first time, everybody thought there was a lot of enthusiasm. You only have 61%.
So
of the people.
58%, you half that. That means 1/4 of the American population voted for the president.
Right. Now,
75% did not vote.
but the question then becomes, why is that, and how do we make that
Yeah,
change?
how do we make
Because
it-
see, the thing is this, right? A lot of people, myself included, when we involve ourselves in the voting process, we take time out from our jobs, right? Some people don't have the time like that from their jobs. They don't get time off, or they don't get,
Right.
you know,
right.
the process is not easy
No.
for them to
Well,
navigate
they
this
make
whole
it
thing.
from 6 to 9. In other words, before you
Right.
go to work or when you.
But
come
then,
back.
then you
you
take a
know,
person like
yeah.
Yusef who got, you know, children and stuff, you know.
Right,
Yeah.
right. No,
I
it's
mean-
it's.
Well, in
it's,
Atlanta,
it's
they got that early voting. I know that was
But
in
they're
Atlanta
trying
for
to
the last
kill.
election.
Well, some states they're trying to kill that. Even the Sunday voting, and they're trying.
That's
to
what
kill
I was
it.
able. I was
In
actually
some
able to
states,
vote
they're
way
trying to kill that.
earlier
Sunday
and get it
votes?
over with.
Right.
Well, people actually vote on Sunday.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
In Atlanta, they
the
got
Sunday
early. They got
before-
early voting. They
It's
vote before
called
the election.
Souls to the Polls, and they were seeing that when they were having that vote on Sunday, the Sunday before the election day, that the black churches was turning out,
Oh, that's great.
but they passed legislation to kill that.
Oh. So it's not great. All right, sorry about that.
Passed legislation- But I think we have to build the mechanism to inform the people. I think people are caught up in their everyday living. They're caught up in their family. Like you said, saying, but we still have to figure out how do we continue to inform the people, because if 2,000 people is that's all it takes to win a primary. It's in Yonkers, which is the third largest city in New York State.
I'm sure
You
other
know?
states do this. I mean, other cities do
Well,
the same.
Mount
How do
Vernon-
you
Mount
think
Vernon
the
is saying-
voting is going to be? Because Hillary just threw her whole.
Yeah, we just wrote about that.
Well,
on the site.
I'm glad you threw that in. I don't think I think the Democrats going to have an identity problem. Because Hillary, especially with the black vote, I don't think they're going to turn out. I don't think they're going to be enthused. They did what they had to do. They got the brother in 2 terms. I'm just telling you what people talking. We got him in 2 terms. And I don't think, and with everything that's going on, with the social justice issues that are happening, and I don't think people will, I don't think the black community will turn out again.
She might get some black women, but she's going to lose the men vote.
Huh?
She might get the black women.
Right, well, it's the women thing. They're moving on the women thing.
Yeah.
They're moving on the women thing. And I don't even know who to vote for because, to me, it just doesn't make any difference. We all go into war. At the end of the day, we all go into war.
But after after she gets the nomination, the alternative is going to be a right-wing conservative who is definitely going to be anti some of the programs that are really important to the African American community. I think.
Well, I mean, we got some Democrats that are anti the programs. I mean, we have a hard. The African American community has a hard pill to swallow on what to do. But they need to get their stuff together because you have the Republicans like Rand Paul vying for the black vote. He contradicts himself sometimes in what he does, but he's vying for the black vote. J.C. Watts just came out. And I really think J.C. Watts, if he would have ran for president, he would have probably got a lot of crossover votes. He was well liked, by Democrats. I don't know what happened, but he just fell off the planet, and now he's back supporting Rand Paul. But I really think there should be some type of independent candidate, right, from either party, that can come down the middle and really address issues on both sides. If you're about conservative spending, yeah, you could address it, but you also need, not handouts, but a hand up.
I got a question for Doc.
Yeah.
I got a question for Doc.
Yeah.
Bringing it back to Westchester, you're being the chairperson of the Westchester Independent Party, right?
Right.
Why is the Independent Party important? Now, our audience, I'm trying to get we're trying to do voter registration.
Well,
we have a 2-party system.
And since no other chair wants to come on the show,
so yeah, you can explain to some of our audience the political process here.
Usually we can't get nobody else.
I guess any third party that comes in, the working family, the conservative independents, becomes instrumental if, for example, Westchester, if it's half and half Republican and Democrats, and I always feel that if they don't want to vote for the Democrat and the independents is supporting the Republican, they'll vote on the independence line.
Right.
But my goal really is, when we first started this party 16, 17 years ago, we wanted to build a momentum, which we did. We have it is the 3rd largest party in the state of New York, about 470,000 registered independents, not independent.
Oh, my bad.
Not to confuse. And the important thing with that is that we should put our own person in. So, like Damon just said, Clinton, the Bush, then we put an independence party. That's what Ross Perot did,
right,
when he started the Fusion Party.
Right.
Right. And it was a reform party, technically.
Right.
And it was instrumental. You have to have people with a lot of money because, you'll have the Republicans that they raise millions of dollars statewide. You have an election as the governor of New York, they're raising 30, 40, 50, $60 million just to run. Wow. When Bloomberg, by the way, people forget that when Bloomberg won the last time, he won because of the Independence Party.
Right.
He got over 100,000 votes, but the guy spent $100 million, to run for the mayor of the city of New York.
And
they just said Hillary
through the independents, he got 40% of the black vote.
They just said
and the press doesn't talk about that.
Yeah.
Well, the press.
That's why we need you.
Covering talking about Hillary. The one thing they said, her campaign is going to be the most expensive.
Oh yeah.
Campaign ever
in
history.
But
like,
see,
there's going to be more.
I mean, you honestly thought that the so-called founding fathers, when they put this paperwork together, did you honestly thought that they were thinking that an election would cost almost $1 billion.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely not.
I mean, you know,
those figures didn't even exist
I mean,
at
that,
that time.
but still, that wasn't even, you know, that's not even close to the we the people. I mean, you know, that's not close to we the people.
That's we who got the most money.
Yeah, well, basically, you know, basically, because if you look at, you know, I mean, you could pull up anybody's campaign finances, and you can see who's spending what. You know, it's not Joe the barber donating 10,000, 50,000. It's not Rashida from 3rd Street donating 25,000. You know, it's none
She
of
got a hair salon on the corner.
It's none of those people.
Do you know what I believe? I believe that any elected official should not be paid, should not be compensated by the people. They're doing it for the benefit of the people.
Right.
So I'm saying.
Well, it's about
I mean,
pensions.
he's got to make a living. Yes, he's got to make a living.
Right.
But you could have an administrator that's a professional that you pay, and then you have the mayor or the senate or whatever. They come, like, for example, the assembly and the senate. That's a part-time position. You know, they only go in Monday and Tuesday, once a month.
Right.
You know, I mean,
And what is like 80?
part-time.
What is like 80
part-time.
grand? It's like 80.
they make about 87. Yeah, but then they become chairman of this, chairman
right,
of
and
that.
they get more money.
And next thing you know, they
each
make
committee.
200,000. Then they get the Lulus for their car and their fare and the hotel and the dinner and the
But
martini.
see, but Doc, people don't
You know.
martini.
Well, that's involved.
See, but Doc, people don't know that. They start at 80 grand, and then if they get on a committee, they get more money. And if they chair that committee,
More money.
they get more money.
Right.
So when you see a letter from a assemblyman or a senate, and you see like 10 committees, like they have the committees in the left-hand corner, all the committees, yo, they're getting paper. Each committee is more money.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
And then it's pensionable.
yeah.
And then they
absolutely.
get a pension from
which,
it. And then,
which
right.
increases their pension.
but then they wanna then they wanna put the thing in the butt of the civil service workers. Now their overtime is not pensionable.
Yeah.
You
For
know,
real?
but
Oh, really? Is that true? I didn't
yeah.
know
Since
that.
when?
Yeah,
Since
yeah,
when?
with the new tier.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, now the overtime is not pensionable.
When did that start?
When they did the new tier, maybe about a year ago. The new tier,
Well, they did it with every state or municipal worker. For example, in Yonkers, they spent the last 3 years as a police officer. If their base salary is 100, in 3 years they're making 200. They get, 80% of 200.
They get 50%.
whatever, how it
It's
works.
3 years. Is now all that's done. So any new police officers
They
under the new
can't
tier,
do that.
Yeah, it's over.
Well, that's the end of that.
It's over. But yet you could work 2 days a week, right? And you could get on 5 committees, bring
Oh,
your
yeah.
salary from 80,000 to 200,000,
Yeah.
Let me.
and stay 20 years, and then you get pensionable from you get average that out.
Well,
then
Supreme
you
Court
could-
justices, they make 167 or 187,000 a year. They have their unlimited secretary, unlimited help to decide how they're going to decide cases. And
Well, I need to get Mark in. I get a job.
who's that? Mark Fang. Yeah. Well, I hope he goes. But the point is,
right.
it's unbelievable.
See,
the
and-
system.
I just heard something this week, from some politicians about fundraising.
Mm-hmm.
So say, I'm just using a fix. Say you needed $6,000 to run for your campaign, but you raised $60,000. What happens to that other 50?
He keeps it.
Yeah.
He could go
That's
out.
what I wanted.
He
That's
could
what I
use
wanted.
it.
That's
He keeps it, and that's the end of that story. So he hopes that he doesn't spend too much, but he's going to keep more.
Yeah.
That's the way they do
But
it.
and that's what you see now.
See, the average person doesn't know that. That's what I wanted to
Hillary Clinton, let's say she raises, I don't know, $100 million, whatever it is,
Right.
$1 billion.
Right.
And she only spends $800 million. She has $200 million. Well, it goes to her foundation. And
Right.
So
You
now-
you can't use it, for yourself. But
No.
As long as you say that it's campaign related.
Well, everything's
So the thing-
campaign.
Yeah,
Right, so the thing
dinners,
is-
lunch.
dinners, everything, your card note, everything's campaign related.
Toilet paper. By the way, I know a guy who's a counselor to the Republican Party. He steals toilet paper. Every time he goes in, they can't find toilet paper. He's a miniature little white guy. It's unbelievable. Like,
They need to
$20
pay.
worth
They
of
need
toilet paper a day.
They need to pay him a little bit more.
You need to give him a raise.
I don't
Doc.
know what kind of ass does this guy have.
Is it Scott? Or is it Charlotte?
Well, he says it's only the one ply, Scott.
It's the one supply.
Yeah, but oh man.
It's ludicrous.
But see, that's
So
go
as,
ahead.
as a party chair, talking again to the demographic that we talk,
Yes.
why, especially young people, why should you vote? Again, people said my vote don't count. You see the same things happening no matter who you vote for. Why should I vote? I'm a young guy. Why the heck should I actually vote for
well,
real?
you know, the good thing about this is that if things have to be changed statewide or even county-wise, you have to remember these people only get elected for 2 years. So
Right.
you make a major difference. If they, if they participate, and see what the community needs and they don't do it, well,
Yeah.
guess what?
Time to go.
A year and a half is very short time.
That's right.
You bounce that guy out.
Right.
And says, listen, we need more community help, more money. There used to be what's called pork barreling years ago. And they used to give a huge amount of money to the pork barreling, whoever was the senior elected official in the assembly or the Senate. So I remember a senator had $800,000, and he would give to each individual community
Right.
affairs.
Right.
They needed maybe $60,000. They would give him $60,000. For the
Right.
for children's help.
Right.
Like last time we spoke, remember?
Right.
That we were saying that the mothers, they go to work, they have
Yes,
to pay.
yes.
Oh, ridiculous.
I mean, 500.
They get-
I mean, that's
they get-
ridiculous.
they
So
get-
you go to your state senator and says, listen, we need for that community,
That's
we
right.
need at least $200,000 to help these parents. You guys take over the overcharge or whatever that office is using it.
Well, I think that's for those who are listening, and you might have state senators running for mayor. That's a good question.
Absolutely.
Who's
Absolutely.
this? Who's this? No, I'm asking.
Ruth Hassel Thomas
Ruth Hassel
has
Thompson
thrown her
announced
hat
that she-
in.
Thompson, who's that?
Ruth Hassel Thompson.
Never heard of her. No,
She's-
really.
she's
I'm
the
Ruth
senator-
Hassel
she's the
Thompson,
senator that
from Mount
represents Mount Vernon in
He's
the Bronx.
bullshit, man.
never heard of her.
Okay.
I don't even know what she looks like.
All right.
And I'm involved. I've never seen her. She's never been in one of my functions.
Oh, okay.
I don't even know who she is.
That
Is she
means- I
white,
guess
black?
that-
What the hell?
that means-
Oh, she's a black lady. Oh, wait a minute. With the
the dreads.
Oh, she fainted last year or something like that. Okay, I'm
You should
sorry.
see Cynthia's face.
Okay, I'm sorry. Yes. Very nice lady. Very nice lady.
He's a very nice lady.
Okay, now.
So
go ahead.
one of the things that Damon and I were talking about yesterday was, where individuals they'll come up there and say all the things that they would like to do in your community, but I like to feed off of what individuals have already done
Right.
and the connections that they have in order for them to mean something in our community, and that is a part of educating the voters.
Right.
That when you are, it's like when you go to the grocery store to go pick something up, right? My husband, he'll get the cheapest brand of orange juice. I'm not drinking that. I'm not drinking that. I need something that has some kind of substance, right? So we have to get
What
to
is
the
their
point where
substance? Yes.
what is your substance?
You see-
And how do we try to start getting this infused into individuals and seep it into their head that you need to start looking at the substance of individuals before you just go out there and start voting for them.
Right, because we got a mayor that has been having forums on Memorial Field for 20 years now, and he's still talking. I mean, from 1995, they have an article of him at a forum on Memorial Field.
And like,
we
you
just
know,
had a forum last week.
Paul
Yeah, but-
said what Paul said. What I liked what he said in regards to Yusef is that what is held accountable for the government.
Right.
It's just like with Sandy Hook. As soon as it went down with Sandy Hook, how long did it take for them to change the gun
30
laws?
days? What, 3 months?
3 months.
3 months, right? And so, what is
This is an epidemic when you see all these people coming home.
all
Right.
these
You know?
individuals are being charged, right? Thrown in jail, and when they come out, here go a little piece of pennies, and I see you a little later.
No,
Right?
not
You can't-
not that here go. You have to fight for another
And you
10
gotta fight
years
for
to
another
get
10
to
years
get
before
that.
you get it. So,
But-
we're,
But I think people could really make a difference. I've been in government my whole life, and I really am optimistic. People, have a defeatist attitude, they're not going to get anything.
Right.
But on the other hand, if they basically feel that we could make a difference and you persistent and you force elected officials to be accountable, I think you could.
I'm not optimistic at all, and I've been in this game 30 years. And what people always fear is fear. You have to intimidate. You have to intimidate. You have to intimidate. And I repeat, you have to intimidate the political official. So you don't do this. I'll wait 2 years. It's very simple.
Right.
And we're going to do whatever we have to do to throw
Right.
you out because you're a bum.
Right.
And by the way, like I said before, 90% of these people elected, they're all bums. They're all bums. No, I mean,
All right, hey.
people are going to hate me tomorrow. and they're gonna say,
and you know, you know what's going to come down now.
they're all bums.
The phone's ringing now. We got a couple of people turning over right now. Like,
What we have to do is, Damon, for example, you have, listen, it doesn't take much. You have 200, 300, 1,000 people in Mount Vernon that are going to abide by the people that care about people like yourselves.
Right.
Says, listen, this guy's not doing anything.
Right.
You want to elect this person again next year?
Right.
And that's the way you do it. You have
Right.
to do it a step at a time.
Yes, and
Maybe that's what Paul is meaning, optimistic, meaning
Right.
that if you have the right people for the good intentions.
Right.
Right.
You know, all the people I know, they go in with great intentions.
Right.
And then I'm hearing 2 years after they all indicted for something. So
it's like the political process. Politics corrupt people.
Yeah.
Even if you're good.
No, if you're good, it's just the system that makes you corrupt.
Right. No,
You know, that's
I
the
think
way.
Sorry.
I think we're talking, but we also have to. A lot of times we build a movement around the person instead of
Obviously,
instead of building the movement.
Yeah.
You know, so it doesn't matter what person the movement supports. It can support this person this election, but then it can support somebody else the next election. But if we continue, like, we wait, the election's in November, and then we wait to January.
Thompson is running, right?
Yeah, she's running.
Who's running against her?
there's-
Deborah Reynolds,
Wait.
she's announced.
Well,
She's
yeah.
the city
Yeah,
council.
you got two sitting city council people, active city council people, one senator or active senator, the active city controller, the former mayor.
The controller's running again?
Yeah.
Well, that's what they say. She hasn't formally
Well,
announced.
yeah, the only two that have announced have been Deborah
Reynolds
the city
and-
council,
and Ruth Hassel
Ruth
Thompson.
Hassel.
But- and
Rich
then-
is supposed to announce Saturday.
Right, and then Clinton said.
he's
then
supposed to announce.
Clinton's supposed to announce. And
you
Ernie.
know what? This hostage takeover foolishness, like
Hostage
everyone. You mean all of y'all are gonna run? What is that? What is that? That's a
So
circus,
somebody gonna win by
man.
100 votes.
That's a circus. All of y'all are running? Come on. Mount
Well,
Vernon
they're not gonna all.
needs.
They're not all gonna survive
Mount
the
Vernon
primary.
needs
but-
CPR.
Well, they're not gonna survive the primary.
Yeah.
because,
The
No,
primary
it's
is
only
gonna
one
win.
person.
The
she's gonna
primary is
raise a lot
win.
of money.
Yeah.
She's gonna, and it doesn't take much, $50,000-$60,000, and that's the end of it. She's the new mayor, I guess. But people, what has she done as a senator before? And what is she gonna do now for the city?
See, and this is and that's the question, because it's the same day she announced, and this is really, I thought it was ironic. The same day she announced her mayor, my favorite senator, I always say it, Andrew Stewart Cousins released a press release and explained the budget and explained what school system was getting what and how much it was raised.
Yeah, I posted it. Damon said,
Right.
so where's Mount Vernon? Mount Vernon's not getting no money.
Right. So then I thought about. I was looking for Mount Vernon. I said, wait a minute, Mount Vernon's not in the district, but we didn't get anything from our senator. See, I understand what I'm saying, because you're here, and
That's a good point.
nothing against her, but we're just talking transparency and accountability. Nothing against her, but she's speaking about running for mayor.
Right.
But put out a statement on what you brought to the city.
The city
Because-
of Mount Vernon lost
She has-
millions
Andrew
of
Stewart
dollars.
Cousins did it, and she
had
broke
all
it
her-
down.
She had everything for her district, what every school system in her district is getting, and of course, Mount Vernon's not in her school district, so
Right.
we don't know what Mount Vernon's
Well,
getting.
a little example in Mount Vernon, there was where you get money for IDA.
Mm-hmm.
What is IDA for
The
people that don't know?
Industrial Development Agency. It's money that it's according to the population of the city, and they give you, I don't know what's the percentage, but it's substantial. It's from 30 to 40, $50 million a year, and they use that money to develop. For example, let's say Damon is a contractor. He wants to build the whole block to beautify it, make people to live there.
Do affordable housing.
Affordable housing.
Yeah, but,
Safe affordable
Right.
housing. Well, Mount Vernon must have lost for 10 years because the person in charge of doing the application for the industrial development screwed up.
Oh, from the city.
From the city of Mount Vernon.
Right.
And when I was speaking to the state people, they said, well, Mount Vernon up to now, they must have lost between $300 to $400 million.
What?
Well, 10 years. I'm talking about
Yeah,
10
years. Yeah, but that's a lot of money, though. Yeah, that's a $500 million.
And I remember that the mayor, I was introduced to the person who was writing this, and she was trying to sell me some M&M for her kid's school for some kind of. I said, I was asking her, did you apply? Well, I'm trying to do this. I mean, you need you need professional people to actually do these applications.
Here we go with the nepotism thing.
You have to pay them, whatever, $100,000 a year for them to do it properly.
But when you hire
you give your cousin Gertrude a
Cousin
job.
Gertrude. Yo,
She must have been somebody's sister.
coming to the close of the show, I want to give everybody a chance to give closing statements, and starting with you.
Man.
Any contact, how people can reach you? If you got a website, social media, all that kind of stuff.
I'm all over social networks. I'm on Facebook, Tumblr, Instagram, Google Plus, anything and everything that's out there. I'm out there. I go under my real name.
Okay.
Because I like to keep it simple, and so people can find me and reach me out. On Facebook, I have 2 pages. One is a personal page. The other one is a fan page. But yeah, look me up. Reach out to me. I'm out here. Like I always say, I power post all the time.
Right.
Because it's real and it's serious, and we got to just do our
Now,
job.
and I do have one last question because we're going into election.
Okay.
And speaking again, what young people that's listening to the show, what question would you like to hear them ask, to the politicians when they, right now?
How much time we got left? Listen, I don't know if I'll be able to answer that, but what I want people to understand in terms of this process, we live in a country that's run by votes. Right. If you do not involve yourself in the process will be involved on you in some way, form, or fashion.
Absolutely.
So it behooves us to involve ourselves in the process in some way, and then also to learn about what it is that we need to do, so that when we say we're putting this person into office, we put them into office, and therefore they have things that they need to be responsible for.
Accountable to you.
Right.
That's right.
Accountability.
Right.
That's right.
And this is the reality of where we're at. We no longer can we operate from a position of, well, they're going to steal our votes anyway, so therefore I'm not going to involve myself in the process. The process is going to go on with you or without you.
Right. And it affects you.
And it affects you, yes.
Paul,
fine.
I continue to be optimistic, and I encourage people to get involved. I think people could really make a difference, a positive difference. And if people have calls, they should, if they have concerns, they could call me. My cell phone's 438-1343. My home's 478-1219. My office number's 989-1545. Fiener.
I just gotta say, yo,
I love that, man. I love
ever
that.
said, I could not find this guy. I've been trying to look for him, but I can't
Yo,
find
you a
him.
liar.
They're lying.
You know what?
This is the second time he's done this on the
That's
show.
right.
I did not remember over here. I said, am I at the right spot? And I see Paul Fiener's car right here. I said, okay, I got the right.
It's interesting. We had a situation in the town just a few days ago where somebody complained about a pothole, and by law, the town's only responsible if there was written notice. So they checked the email. The person complained to me at like 8:05.
I'm sorry, I have to stop you because Mount Vernon is riddled with potholes. So tell me what I got to do.
No,
Somebody got to really notice. Please tell me what that process is.
This is what
Let
you
me-
have
let
to
me
do.
know
No,
so I
no,
can
this
tell
is what
everybody
you
in
have
Mount
to do.
Vernon right now.
Listen, you hit the pothole, you call up, or you write a notice that I hit the pothole, and they cannot refund you. But let's say now your mother goes tomorrow and says, I hit the pothole and I just destroyed my tire. They have to refund you.
So the thing
So you understand, that's another little
Right,
trick
but-
that they play.
Right, that's a state law. So
Yeah, it's a state law.
they
Yeah.
they called me, say at 8:05. They emailed me at 8:05, and then the records show that I responded at 8:07, and by
Wow.
9 o'clock the pothole was fixed. And the issue is that a reasonable amount of time
Wow.
to repair it? And basically, when people call me or email me, I average maybe 3-4 minutes before I get back to everybody.
Can you do a class on that?
I was just going to say, can we have you teach? Can we have you come to Mount Vernon?
You got to do a seminar to
politicians.
politicians. How do
In
you
Westchester
respond to
County.
your constituents?
I do it nonstop. You know, I have my.
That's all he does.
And
He's the real McCoy. Man.
because I honestly believe that that elected officials should treat every voter as if they're the most important person in the world when they have a complaint. So if somebody has a major complaint or a minor complaint, I want to make sure that we're giving them the respect and the dignity and that we're responsive. And
real quickly, just one more time, how do you get a pothole repaired? Because we have nothing but pothole problems.
but you have to send written notice to the city.
Written notice.
Okay.
Written notice.
Well, and written notice, but also, let's say your car got damaged because of that. They cannot refund you if it's a county, a state, or a city. But if the second person, because you complain about that particular pothole on whatever, First Avenue, then they'll pay you.
Oh, okay.
Isn't that something?
They'll pay you or they pay
Well,
the
they'll
second
pay
person?
the second person.
They're
not
putting
the
the
first
second
person.
one because they didn't have the
That's a
notice.
state law, right, Paul?
Because someone's complained already, and then someone
Yes.
came by, and then
And-
they had,
yeah, and
after
they-
they brought it to their attention, someone else had damage.
Right. Yeah.
Any closing
Okay, are you
remarks?
listening to this, Mount Vernon?
Any
Please.
closing remarks, Doc?
Well, this was a very productive. Your special guest here was unbelievable. I forgot all about that.
Right.
The incredible. The only thing I like to say is if the courts give a judgment about an award, the same way they put the guy in jail in 2 seconds, they should be paying
Yes,
that person
indeed.
in 2 seconds.
Yes, indeed.
Right.
See, that's not right. Where you wait 5, 6, 7, 10 years, the guy's got cancer and he dies. No.
In this case, you said 12, right? 2002
my
to
God,
2000,
12 years.
2002 to 2014, you got the
It's
check,
unbelievable.
right?
Yes,
It's
indeed.
unbelievable.
And it was a fraction of what you, well, I guess,
Yes,
actually.
indeed.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, well, this should be that should be legislation.
Doc, you have an event coming up, right?
Yes, it's on April 30th. Yeah, I have a
Good.
fundraiser at the Knollwood Country Club in Greenburgh.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's 6, I guess 6 to 10, 6 to 11, right? But if you have any question that you want from the Independence Party, please call Damon Jones. He'll get back to me because I got so many crazy things going on. I should fly out to
Your Damon number on
Brazil.
the air.
Not-
Now I'm full.
I'm not doing that. But anyway,
All right,
Thanks,
all right.
Dave.
very
All right.
enjoyable. Thank
Yes,
you.
Right.
yes.
Thank you for
Thanks for
having
having me.
Yeah. So I just
Cynthia,
wanted to tell all the guests that I really appreciate you and thank you for coming in and speaking
Absolutely.
with us today.
Yeah, this was
And Yusef, I have a newfound respect for you, for real. You are one powerful brother, for real. And and that note, I cannot wait for individuals to approach me and ask me, who do I have to come to the school?
We're gonna be blowing Yusef phone up. Yo, I got some kids, man.
Plug me in. Listen.
All right, great.
They need to sit down and they need to talk to you.
Yeah.
I truly appreciate you. How's your mother?
She's good.
She's
You know,
good?
she's good. Still, she's in remission with the cancer. She had
Right.
she had stage 4 cancer.
Oh.
You know,
Oh, man.
but she's in remission.
praise
so
God,
it's
praise
a
God.
lot of it is diet and all of that stuff.
Right.
Just trying to
Praise
make sure
God.
that you maintain a positive outlook on life and stuff. But yeah, she's still here with us, and I
Great.
appreciate that.
Great.
Praise God.
All right, so I appreciate you guys, and make sure that the children are reading.
Yes, yes. We're going to keep pushing
A
it.
lot of reading, and everybody get their rest this week. It's the New York State exams are starting this week, and make sure that the students rock it. And if you don't want your child to take the test, you have that option. You can opt out, send your child to school, and tell them, my mommy does not want me to take.
So what are they?
So what was the result? What's the result if you don't take
Yeah,
it?
if you don't take it,
What's the penalty? What's the
There's no
what can
penalty, man.
huh?
You
There's
just
no
don't take
penalty.
it.
No, I know there's no penalty,
So
but if
it's
a
not gonna
school
stop
has
you
to
from
accept the
getting-
person and says, "Well, you never took this exam," is that? That's,
Right, that you just take them.
You just take them.
Yeah.
So they can't get
Well,
left
what
back
happens
or
if you
something?
can't
It's-
take it?
What are you talking about?
No, he said,
The
what if the people? What if he wants to go into a school?
Yeah.
And you don't
Will
have
they
to,
will they penalize the student
For
for
not
not
taking this
taking that
exam?
exam?
No, they can't. It's the law. It's
Oh,
in the
okay.
law. It's
Oh.
there.
So
But see, a lot of individuals don't know that. If you look at the number of schools and students in Westchester County in particular, where students do not take the exam,
They just had a
they are
rally
usually of
about that.
white
Opt it out.
students
Right.
from white parents.
Right, and they just had a rally. Yeah.
So
about
they don't
opting
take
out.
it.
because
there's a
they
whole thing
know
opting
about
out.
they know about this little sentence in the law.
So what's
And
the
so
sense
you-
of taking this exam then?
Well,
So basically,
it-
everybody,
it-
every
it-
adult should
it's
tell their
about-
kid to
it's-
opt out.
Yeah.
Well,
Doesn't-
money, you know.
Does it cost the school
money?
money?
Money
for not taking-
talks, love stutters. So
David K. Jones, last words.
And I want to thank everybody coming on. Yusef, brother, man. I want to thank you. You're always welcome to come back on the show,
indeed.
man. Sit and talk about issues because that's what we do here. Paul, I definitely I need to give you a call. I know a young man who's an excellent barber that would definitely. He does seminars. We'll talk about that and to bring it with the kids.
Does he give a shave? And
Yeah, everything. Facials.
yeah,
he does.
facials
He
and
do everything.
Oh, he's
He did
awesome.
everything.
He's
Doc,
awesome.
female?
Doc, as always, man, you know,
Always
you're
a pleasure,
welcome
always a
on the
pleasure.
show. Always a pleasure to come give your insight on what's going on in Albany in politics.
And we thank you for
And-
being the only party chair
Chair
in Westchester
that have
who
came on
come on the
so
show and have
consistently.
also come to rallies and stuff that we've
Yeah,
had.
right.
And the only party chair
And we've
in
Westchester.
Westchester.
We've invited
Right.
everybody.
I just want to be clear on that. Yeah.
We have called. Priscilla has called everybody that we had a number to.
Right, right,
And
right.
And by the way, I actually take a day off from work to come to you.
Yeah,
and
and-
these people.
Yeah.
You know,
Wow, wow,
No.
wow. Well-
I don't want to get in trouble.
Yeah,
with
but
that.
I'll be this Wednesday. I'll be speaking at Westchester Community College to the
Yes,
Black
yes,
Student
yeah.
Union, the Black and Latino Student
Reese
Union.
registered them on the Independence Board.
You think I'm not?
All right, Damon. All right.
How you think?
It's working. It's working.
You are-
All right, that's-
You are listening to BlackWestchester.com presents People Before Politics. You could be doing anything out right now, but you decided to rock with us, and we definitely appreciate it. Every Sunday, 6 to 8. Make sure you check out the site, BlackWestchester.com. And with that, we're out.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Listen, we really have fun here.
Yeah, I'm telling
You
you,
know, I
man,
was
it's the
telling
best.
my wife I'm coming from Connecticut. Says I have to go there. I have so much.
Brothers on the instant replay. There will be no pictures of pigs shooting down brothers on the instant replay. There will be no pictures of Whitney Young being run out of Harlem on a rail with a brand new process. There will be no slow motion or still life of Roy Wilkins strolling through Watts in a red, black, and green liberation jumpsuit that he has been saving for just the proper occasion. Green Acres, Beverly Hillbillies, and Hooterville Junction will no longer be so damn relevant, and women will not care if Dick finally got down with Jane on Search for Tomorrow, because black people will be in the street looking for a brighter day. The revolution will not be televised. There will be no highlights on the 11 o'clock news and no pictures of Harry R. women liberationists and Jackie Onassis blowing her nose. The theme song will not be written by Jim Webb or Francis Scott Keys, nor sung by Glenn Campbell, Tom Jones, Johnny Cash, Engelbert Humperdinck, or The Rare Earth. The revolution will not be televised. The revolution will not be right back after a message about a white tornado, white lightning, or white people. You will not have to worry about a dove in your bedroom, the tiger in your tank, or the giant in your toilet bowl. You will not be able to stay home, brother.